Hey everybody, welcome to Lion's Den. This is Evan Marshall. Uh, just going for my morning walk. I'm sorry it's been a while since I've been on. I had a little bit of an issue with my phone, had to factory reset it, and then had a hard time getting back on my account. Um, it's all fixed now. I thought it was a YouTube issue, but it was just my own stupidity. I didn't realize it had opened to the wrong email. So um, hopefully that's all resolved now, and you guys will be able to see this video. It's probably been a month or so since I put one up. Um, as a quick update, it's 4 months yesterday that I'm on carnivore. Um, I don't foresee ever changing this. I mean, things happen, life changes, but the way I feel, the way um, my health is going, my overall mood, temperament, everything, my weight loss, everything's so much better. Weight loss really, honestly, I mean, I'm sure it's a key to my health, but it's the least of my focus. I don't even go on the scale anymore. Maybe once every month or so, just for giggles. It doesn't really. It's not my focus. So, and as people who are on carnivore for a little while, you realize that your body will go through drastic changes long before, or without any weight loss. Muscle changes, stature, all kinds of good stuff. So, forgive the bags under my eyes. I was up very long yesterday. I worked Friday night, and I took a quick cat nap and was up till 10 or 11 o'clock last night. So I'm a little, um, I look a little worse for wear, but I promise I feel great. Um, I'm just overall, I'm really happy. So I'm out here, uh, you know, near the college campus. I went for a walk. I'm probably a mile or so from the house. And just enjoying a little bit of a cloudy, overcast day. Um, a lot, I got a lot going on. A lot of things changing. Some things I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around. To kind of give you a quick overview of how much has changed in the last month, and possibly share some stories about why and how this is so important to me. Um, so, like I said, I had the problem with YouTube. I'm gonna guess it's been about a month, and I apologize again. It's strictly my fault. I can't blame YouTube. It was just I'm 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 still relatively new to YouTube, so I'm figuring it out. Now, keep in mind, these videos, I don't have editing software. I don't have cameras. This is my cell phone. It's my Samsung cell phone. It's off the cuff. I don't make cuts. I don't make edits. I say what's on my mind, and it lasts as long as it lasts. I hope you guys find it digestible and worth watching. Um, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Hear about your story. You know, your struggles, your goals, your wins in carnivore. All that stuff inspires me. It's not just I don't this YouTube video. I'm gonna do it no matter what. I really don't care if it goes anywhere. It's a little therapeutic for me. It's a lot of fun, and I kind of love talking. Um, most weekends, I'm up before everybody anyways. Since I started carnivore, I wake up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. Today, I actually slept until 7:30. It was crazy. But like I said, I had a long day yesterday. I wake up energized. As soon as my eyes open, I'm ready to get up. I'm ready to go. So instead of driving everybody crazy, making noise in the house, I get my little exercise in the morning. This way I don't take any time away from my family, and I still get my walks. My girlfriend Nicole, who is fantastic, she does so much for me during the week. She stays up, makes sure all my lunches and everything are prepared for me, and she gets me off to work safe. And I can check in with her at different points during the night, so she knows I'm safe because I do have a very dangerous job. And she doesn't mind that I'm waking her up two or three times a night, sometimes four times a night, just to kind of let her know that everything's okay when I'm able and allowed to use my phone. Um, so that's the story there. So on Saturday and Sunday, mostly Sunday because Saturday I come home early in the morning. Um, I let her sleep. I let her wake up when she wakes up. I try to make as little noise as possible. I try to creep out of the bedroom. All you guys in relationships will understand that move. Sliding your legs out and kind of worming your way out of the bed. So that's kind of my Sunday routine. So it's hey, interesting question. Something I've um, I've always been a people watcher. You know, good, bad, or indifferent. Not necessarily judging people or anything like that. But I always found myself watching what was going on. It's got me in trouble on dates because I see people going by and I look at them, male, female, or indifferent. Um, and it's assumed that I'm staring at somebody and checking somebody out, which wasn't the case. I'm just curious by nature. That being said, I've always been a people watcher. So now, what I'm finding that's different on Carnivore is my eyes go right to the people who, I'm not going to say they're unhealthy because I don't know them, they're total strangers. Maybe they're perfectly healthy, but people who are overweight. People look like they're maybe struggling a little bit walking, or maybe have a cane, or I don't know their health issues. I wouldn't presume to know their health issues. Um, my thought process is more, see, there I go, people watching, gentlemen just walked past, and I had to take a look at them. That's what gets me in trouble all the time. I'm not presuming that I know anything about them. I'm just making my own, I have my own thoughts about what might be going on with them. So maybe it's judging me. I don't know what it is, but my brain goes where it goes. So I see people like this morning. I seen a mother and a son walking. Um, Appeared to be a very loving mother. The son was probably 7 or 8 years old. It looked like they just went out for breakfast. And he had a fast food crown on his head. We all know what fast food company I'm talking to. I don't know what will get me in trouble on YouTube, so I'm going to avoid using names. He had a little crown that fast food organization gives to their children. He had a little bag with either his breakfast or his leftovers in it, and they're walking. And the first thing I noticed, how you doing? The first thing I noticed is the mother's several pounds overweight, probably obese. And I look at the son, and he is, like I said, 7 to 8 years old, and he's heavier than he probably should be. I'm not going to go ahead and say obese, and we all know that kids can start out heavy and grow and slender down. But the bag of, I almost said the name, the bag of fast food in his hands made me create a story in my mind. So that aside, do you find yourself wanting to talk to people that you see, like random strangers who you see that are either struggling to walk, or you see they have obvious health issues, or they're obese, or they're carrying food that's obviously horrible for them? And it's a little narrow-minded of me to think that that's all they eat, or that they're not healthy, they're not doing great things, but just to strike up a conversation with them. Now, I spend most of my time in New York in some pretty rough neighborhoods. So I'm a little more hesitant to just walk up to a stranger and start asking questions and talking to him about his diet. Um, I'm on trains a lot, so there's a lot of homeless and mentally ill on the trains. So you have to be a little careful about how you conduct yourself when you're in that environment. So I'm not running up to people, I promise, and tap them on the shoulder. But I do find myself kind of wanting to do that, especially if I go to a doctor's office, I see somebody who's having trouble getting out of their chair because of their weight, or I overhear a conversation, they're talking about things that I know Carnivore would help. So my question really boils down to, do you find yourself wanting to talk to people? Because I look at this lifestyle as kind of a winning lottery ticket. If I knew how to win the lottery, I would share it with people. I would share it with my friends. I would share it with my family. I would share it with people who are struggling. And give them the opportunity to live the great life that I love because I won the lottery. And the diet, I don't want to call it a diet, the lifestyle of Carnivore, and for me, the Lion diet, the Lion lifestyle. I've won the lottery. I know I've bought time back. I know I've gotten more years of my life. I know that the quality of my life, even if, let's say, I get hit by a bus in 3 weeks, God forbid, those 3 weeks are better, happier, healthier. My mental state is 1,000 times better. It got rid of problems I didn't know I had. I didn't realize that I had some depression going on because I didn't know because I wasn't paying attention to it. I had a million other things going on. But when it lifted, my sense of humor came back even stronger than it was before, and I was always kind of I always had an interesting sense of humor, if not risky, and I find that I'm quicker, I'm wittier, I'm funnier. Not in these videos because I'm not going for that, but in my general life. And not to mention, the health benefits. My look is 1,000 times healthier. I have a jawline that I like. I used to have to years ago. I'd grow my beard in a line that went like this, so I would fake a jawline, and my neck would be hanging down to here. And now I have a healthy jawline. I'm getting compliments from people that I see every day, and people I haven't seen in weeks, people I haven't seen in years, and different social media. Does any of that really matter in the grand scheme of things? No, but it feels nice. So, like I said, I find myself wanting to share this experience with people, and the people I do talk to about it, I kind of talk their ear off, and I get, I'm so excited, and I have so much information from all the different research I've done, and the videos that I've watched, and the different doctors that I pay attention to, and in my experience with hospitals and doctors, and the almost complete denial that there's something to be said here. That, although these people are super educated and super, they went to great schools, or they excelled in all their subjects all through school so they can make it into medical school, and it's their lifelong dream to be doctors. But it's almost as if they forget what being a doctor means. There's not one path. There's not a singular way of doing it. But when you have somebody stand in your office that was, at different points 275 pounds, diabetic to a point that his A1C was through the roof and his blood sugars are in the multiple hundreds, and now he's standing in front of you at a healthy weight, not exactly where I want to be, but a healthy weight, fit, exercising, blood sugars under control, aches and pains are gone, everything. He's not getting as sick as often. Everything that you could every measurable thing. His blood work looks good. Every measurable thing looks better. He feels better. He's instead of relating to you all the issues and health issues that he's had, he's telling you, look, I feel great. I don't, I'm not suffering anymore. I'm not addicted to my food anymore. I'm not eating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I was. And I was, not all unhealthy foods. I wasn't eating, I very rarely ate McDonald's and Burger King and all that stuff. And not, I really didn't want to say the names, but I'm not eating fast food. I'm eating home-cooked food. I'm bringing my food to work. I was always bringing my food to work. But I was bringing popcorn and 2 chocolate bars and, different sugary snacks and cakes. And, if I got back from a job and it was time to take lunch, I would go to the store and buy some ring dings and some ho-hos and, maybe a sandwich on white bread or a roll or, I had the foods in my diet that are incorporated in carnivore or lion, whatever you want to call it, but it was wrapped in carbs and vegetables and salt and sugar and, now, I understand salt's good for you, but I can't imagine salt's good for you when it's being digested with the corn oils and vegetable oils and carbs, and when you wrap all those things together, it's when it boils down your stomach, I gotta believe it's a different animal. So, but that being said, when I was eating like that and doing like that, they would always say, "Oh, you need to lose weight." That would be their thing. Okay. And then they would, if I did get to the point of talking to them about a diet, they would talk to me about a diet that inevitably had carbs in it. If I'm diabetic, how are carbs the answer? How is the thing I'm addicted to the answer? If I had a cocaine habit, would you say to me, go home and just have less cocaine? That sounds great, right? Hey, I know you came in stumbling drunk. When you go home, just drink less. Only have 2 cans of beer today, and then all your problems will go away. No, they're not. No, the fuck they're not. If I'm taking in sugar and I'm addicted to sugar, I'm going to take in more sugar. For me, it's a cliff. I might as well walk on walk to the Grand Canyon, just keep walking and fall off the cliff. Because if I have some sugar, by the end of the week, I'm going to be eating ring dings, ho hos, and God knows what else. And for me, that's a death sentence. My body's prone to diabetes. If I gain weight, I eat sugar, all that stuff, and I'm still not 100% out of the woods. I don't eat any sugar, so I can't tell what my body's going to do with it. But I'm not gonna either. There's a couple of things in life I'm not going to do. I'm not going to jump out of a plane without a parachute. I'm not going to play Russian roulette at all, much less with a completely loaded gun. And I'm definitely not going to start eating sugar, because at the end of the day, I want to live. My father, right? My father drank alcohol most days, not to the point of being stumbling drunk, but if he drank, he was drinking a beer or having the occasional mixed drink, or not occasional, it was daily. But for the most part, he was a beer drinker. He would come home and have a couple of beers every night. And when you grow up in a house where your father's doing everything he's supposed to do, he's taking care of his kids, he's doing, he's going to work, he's showing up his job, you don't think anything of it. And he smoked cigarettes. He started smoking cigars at like 15 or 16 years old. His story was that he was getting on the trains going from Queens to Brooklyn to meet up with his girlfriend, and he was by himself, so he would smoke a cigar to keep himself occupied. Between trains or however it was. He didn't really go into great detail. But that led into him smoking. If he was 15, he lived to be 63, which is kind of a sad lifespan. With the exception of a couple months here and a couple months there, he smoked his whole life. Somewhere around 10 to 15 years before he passed away, the doctors told him, listen, either quit smoking or stop coming here, which on the doctor's part is hard. He should have built a relationship with my father and kind of like earned his trust and maybe been able to talk him out of it. My father was the older generation. He was prideful, and he was hard-headed and thick-headed, and he was set in his ways. And if you tell him a challenge like that, he's going to go negative every time. And what the doctor said is, quit smoking or stop coming here, because in 10 or 15 years you're going to be dead. So I guess you can guess what my father did. He stopped coming there. At 62 years old, from what we understand, because he kind of kept everything a secret, he had his first heart attack. All he shared with us is that he had a heart attack and everything was fine. There were some obvious health issues, but we were under the impression that it was going to take some time for him to recover. He was having trouble walking up and down stairs. He was having trouble with a lot of different things, but this is before the age of the internet. None of us ever, to our regret, we didn't look into what was going on with him. We didn't investigate further. We just took our father at his word. And a year later, sitting at his dining room table, had a massive heart attack. It was gone, and he sneezed. As long as it takes to sneeze, he was gone. And I'm the youngest of my family by several years. My sister's 7 years older than me. My brothers are 10 or 11 years older than me. I was just an adult. I was 24 years old. I was still figuring things out. I didn't really have a definite career path. I had a decent job. I was trying to start a business. I had some things going on, but I still, at 24 years old, you don't know you don't know what's going on. You don't have it figured out. And my father would be 90 something years old at this point. He was born in 38, so it kind of gives you an idea how old he would be. It's too early in the morning to do math. And he was gone. He should still be here. His brother's still alive. His brother lived a healthy life. His brother was 2 years younger than him. His brother lived a healthy life. His brother did everything he was supposed to do. He exercised. I don't think he ever smoked cigarettes, but I'm not terribly close to him. I'm not close to him at all. But I see him on different social media platforms. I see he's still enjoying his children's time. He's enjoying his grandchildren's time. My son, who is very similar to my father in ways that are almost spooky, never met the man. He was born years after my father passed away, but my father could have been there. it's, the state of healthcare. And my father's a grown man. He made better decisions, and he had to live with the consequences. But what if he was steered wrong? What if he was wronged by that doctor who told him quit or leave? What if somebody approached him on the street back then and explained to him about carnivore and how carnivore helps make your bad habits go away? It makes you want to live a healthy lifestyle, which it truly does. So that's kind of the story there. And I look at my son, and I don't want to leave a young man behind. We have a great relationship. We spend as much time as possible together. When we do, we have a great time. He's a young adult now. He's 18 years old, so I can kind of enjoy his company in a different way than I could before, because it's time for him to start opening his eyes to really the reality of the world, and I can kind of talk to him about more serious topics, and I can set it to him a little straighter than I used to. And then besides that, when we spend time together, he gets who I truly am as a man, not just as a father. So that's very interesting. But I want to enjoy as much of that as possible. He's not planning on having kids anytime soon. It's starting to rain. I should probably start making tracks back home. Pray for me, guys. It's really cloudy out, starting to rain, and I got about a mile walk back to the house. So keep me in your thoughts and prayers. It's supposed to thunder and lightning today. I should have thought about this before I came out. So, without getting too far into it, I really want to be there for my son. I want to meet my grandchildren. I want to be able to play with my grandchildren. I want to be able to run and chase and wrestle or whatever people. I don't have any grandchildren, so what do you do with them? But I don't want to be the old man that just sits in a chair and watches my grandchildren have fun, and I'm unable to bend down to play with them, or unable to walk across the room to play hide and go seek, or maybe with any luck be able to run and play ball with them. I see videos of guys. I have no way of knowing if they're being 100% honest, but I saw a video yesterday of a guy who's 80-something years old, 87, and the closest way I could describe to what he was doing jumping jacks. Like, he was showing everybody he can run and jump. And 6 months ago, I couldn't do what he was doing. The guy's in his 80s, late 80s. And to hear him talk, his mental clarity was on point. He only said a few sentences. The video was a very short video, but nothing about watching him made me feel like he was 87 years old. He obviously, you can only your appearance can only fight the clock so long. He was obviously an older gentleman, but I think he'd beat me in a foot race. I bet you could do more jumping jacks than I can right now, and I'm trying to be on top of my health. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Is I want my family to be together as long as humanly possible, and that includes me. And I want to be there for the generations of family that I don't even know are going to exist yet. And maybe change the tide. My son is now talking. My son's got a few pounds he needs to lose, and he has. I'm not going to go into big detail, but the weight is causing him some health issues, and they're significant. One health issue in particular, but it's significant. And it's something that needs to be handled. And he got, using traditional dieting. He lost weight a year or two ago, and the last doctor's report I got on the topic was that he was free of the health issue. But like everything else, he was eating a moderate amount of carbs. So the second he got good news, he jumped right on the bandwagon again and went right back to the standard American diet. I'm not with his mother, and he primarily lives with his mother. And I would hear him talk. Yeah, we had pizza for dinner the other night, or we had, some fast food dinner the other night, or we had, potatoes and broccoli and cauliflower and this and that, and the things that I know. Not that broccoli and cauliflower is causing his issue, but there's things that he's eating that I know aren't helping. Rice, and, So I've been just showing him my results and kind of being, showing him my excitement about it, and he sees that I'm fitter, I'm healthier, I can do more, I can work harder. I'm lucky enough that my career isn't based on how much I can perform, but I like to work. I get joy from hard work. I get a sense of accomplishment. So when I go to work, when it's time to accomplish a task, I give it everything I have. And I come home and I tell them, there's guys that are half my age that are giving it all they have too, and they're not. I'm 48 years old. They're 22, and they're not beating me down the path or whatever we happen to be doing. And I have a dirty, heavy, physical, hot job. I love it, by the way. I love that type of work. I love hands-on work. I like dirty work. My father was that way too. My father was in the corporate world for 100 years and he was never happy. He got into actually the same exact work that I'm doing now, and he loved it. So I really am a chip off the old block, and the people who knew my father when he was younger, like I said, I came later in life, say I look just like him. I spend a little more time with my parents than my father does, than my father did. My father was more of a Willie Nelson style. I tend to be a little more towards the manicured look, So, so that's that. Like I said, I find myself looking at people outside the house and wishing I could help them become better, stronger, healthier versions of themselves. And how do you walk up to a stranger? And I'm not. It's not that that's outside my character to walk up to somebody and start talking to them, but to walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, you look fat and unhealthy. How can I help you?" It's, there's no way to put that in any way, shape, or form that's going to be well received to a stranger who, one, probably thinks you're out of your mind because you just walked up to him out of nowhere, and two, how do you do it? My friends, I have quite a few people that want to hear this, and they, my girlfriend's aunt got on this. I won't go into her personal details, but she's I guess what you would consider an older woman. And keep in mind I'm 48. She's doing it. She's having great results. She's lost quite a few pounds, and she feels great, and she doesn't feel like she's a slave to food anymore, which is a wild statement. The fact that, when you get into your, I'm not going to go into, 60s, 70s, and 80s, I think the thought process is, it's a little late in the game. A lot of people who eat in standard American diet or just, struggling with different diets, they feel like, well, I'm 72. The weight loss game, I'm out of it. I can't change anything. Or I've been doing so much damage for so many years. What's it really going to help? And then I talk to this woman, I see that gentleman on that video, and I see them flourishing. If a woman in her 60s, 70s, or 80s can lose 10 pounds in a very short amount of time, I think it was 6 weeks she lost 10 pounds. She's not going to the gym and, bench pressing. She just changed her diet, and she's living her life. She has an active life. She has kids. She has grandkids. She has a large family. She's very active in all, and she always was. She's not, it's not like I was talking about where she could barely move, and she spends a ton of time with her family. But I promise you, the quality is better now. So I have some people in my life that got on board. I have a gentleman that I consider like family. He was always into fitness and always into taking care of his body. And he got into it because he saw what I was doing. And he's just as muscular and a lot leaner, and he feels great, and it seems like what he decides to eat is his choice now. It's not because of some chemical reaction to the sugar that he's putting in his body. You know what I mean? And I'm, at the same time, I'm educating him as much as I can about what I've learned, and not just telling them that this is fact. To look into it. If you don't like to read, watch the video. If you don't like to watch the video, it's You don't have to take my word for it. I didn't say it in those terms, but that's kind of what it is. And I share the information that I have with the people that are interested. So that's kind of the thing. So a little background on me. I kind of hinted at this in earlier videos. I was very hesitant to share this information, but the more I think back, and the more I look back in my mind at my journey to getting healthy, and my 10 years of being, very sick, as far as diabetes. And when I say sick, I don't mean I was, dragging through the day and laying in bed. I was, with the exception of key points in my life, I was functioning as well as I could under the circumstances. I was going to work, I was spending time with my family, I was, having barbecues, doing everything that everybody does. But there's a, for me anyway, I'm assuming it's for everybody, but with autoimmune disease, what you see on the surface isn't generally what the people feel. I was very aware that my blood sugar was high. I was very aware that I had anxiety because my blood sugar was high, or I get that hollow feeling in my chest when it was very high or very low. And not low as far as under 100, low in comparison to the high that I was on. High blood sugar, that is. And I had emotional reactions to things. And I always had to kind of think, is that the blood sugar messing with my brain right now and making me a little more emotional? Because it does do that to me. It has that effect on me. So, like I said, I was unhealthy, but not, if you looked at me like, oh, that guy's really fat or overweight or whatever you want to call me, obese. But I was doing everything everybody else was doing, so I don't know that they would necessarily say I was sick, but I was very sick. And I was very sick until about 4 months ago. I could pinpoint it to 4 months ago on the 17th, because that's when I started this, and immediately my life changed. I immediately saw results. I immediately felt better. I immediately started to reap the benefits. I'm one of the lucky ones. I lost 4 pounds day one. I can't explain that. I was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I started eating steak, and by the following morning, I was 4 pounds lighter. And I'm sure it had everything to do with how poorly I was eating, because I was eating worse than I would say most people, with the exception of the fact I wasn't eating fast foods. But I was making up for it with candy bars and cupcakes and popcorn and all that stuff. And yeah, everybody's gonna say, yeah, popcorn's healthy. Not when you're eating it like I was. I'd go to sit through a 2-hour movie and eat 2 full, large-sized buckets of popcorn on my own. There's no way that's healthy. So, here's the deal. Diagnosed with diabetes 10 years ago. Came home. I have 2 older brothers that I still look to for help, and not necessarily physical help, but if I have something going on, they're older than I am. I understand that they have 10 years more experience in life than I do, and I call them and I ask them their opinion or whatever. And this was more, my brother David told me for 10 years before that, dude, you're gaining weight, you're gonna end up diabetic, you got to be careful. The diabetes is a monster. I knew nothing about diabetes at the time, so I was like, yeah, whatever. Diabetes, you have sugar in your system, not a big deal. And then I go to the doctor one day because I'm driving my niece to school, and I have my son in the car. I drop my niece off, and on the way back I go to speak to my son, and I get a quiver in my voice and I almost start to cry. I'm not in pain. I don't have any reason to be upset. Me and my son are having a great conversation, but again, it happened anyway. And then I stopped, caught my breath. I was like, what the hell was that? I go to speak again, and it happens again. So I handed my phone to my son, and like I said, I'd been feeling a little off. I was drinking a ton of water. I was peeing like a racehorse. not knowing the symptoms of diabetes and realizing now that I was in full-blown diabetes. My son, I hand him the phone. I tell him, dial my doctor's phone number to my phone. Tell them, don't set an appointment. Tell them I'm coming. Tell them I'm on the way and I'm in bad shape. So I shoot down to my doctor's office. They take me in the office. That particular office had a diabetes doctor. I can't remember the name of the diabetes doctor off the top of my head. They check my blood sugar. They run all kinds of tests, but the blood sugar was kind of the defining test because I think they knew just from my symptoms. And my blood sugar was, now for those who don't know, a blood sugar is supposed to be around 90, let's say, give or take a few. You know, I'm not a doctor, so don't, if your blood sugar is not 90 and you're panicking, don't do the research, talk to your doctor. My blood sugar, I would be comfortable with a 90. I'd be comfortable with 100. I'd be comfortable with an 80. I don't really want to go much lower than that. I definitely don't want to be much higher than that. My blood sugar was 475. Now, 475, what the doctor said to me at that moment is, your blood sugar is 475. You are a Twinkie away from slipping into a coma. Now, was he probably being dramatic? Yes. Was he wrong? I don't think so. You know, it was a possibility, and I try to live life these days, keeping in mind worst case scenario. You know, I play things through my head of, all right, I'm going to do this. What's the worst case scenario? Now, I'm not saying that always stops me, but it makes me understand what I can be facing if I'm doing something good, bad, or indifferent. So, it tells me my blood sugar is 475. They tell me that the treatment today is to give me a needle. I'm assuming it was insulin. I don't really remember, but I'm sure it was. Give me a shot, and then they send me home, and I should rest. They're gonna give me a shot. They're gonna check my blood sugar in a half hour, and then they're gonna send me home. And that's what they did. A half hour later, my blood sugar crashed down to 275, which, for those who aren't doing the math, that's 200 points. Now, what I found out that night that I didn't know when they did it to me is that crash wrecked me. I made it home, thank God. A little while later, I got a little tired. I went to sleep. 5 days, I would get up for about 30, 45 seconds, walk, because my living room and my dining room weren't far from each other. I would walk from my bedroom to the living room, say hello to the 2 or 3 people that were in the house, walk back to the bed and go back to sleep. I was non-existent in my life. I was in bed. I was in what I understand to be now in horrible shape, and I couldn't do a single thing. Now, I was lucky enough that I was already out of work. I was let go from a job, and I was on unemployment, so I had a little time to kind of take care of myself and kind of figure things out. So that week I stayed in bed, and when my energy started to level off, I could only eat maybe a piece of stew meat that big, or chicken, or whatever was going on in the house. So I was eating very little. But anyway, I called my brother Dave, and I'm like, look, I got some bad news. I fucked up. I didn't listen, and doctor, I'm diabetic. And I told the whole story. And he was like, well, what are they telling you got to do? I said, I got to take these pills. I got to take this shot, and that'll keep my blood sugar under control. And he went ballistic. That's not what you're going to do. You take the medication they told you to take. You get healthy. You get fit. You start exercising. You go to the gym. You eat, at the time, what was considered a healthy diet. You know, wheat and wheat bread. If you're going to have crackers, you have the wheat wafer crackers. You eat mostly vegetables and a small piece of meat. They're like the food pyramid. But I took him very seriously, and I started walking, then doing wind sprints, then I started lifting weights, and I did an Insanity program, which is, if you guys are familiar, it's a very high energy workout program. I knocked my weight all the way down. I got down to 180 pounds. Felt great. I needed to put on a few more pounds. I was a little thin. Changed my diet a little bit, added some avocados, whatever. But the doctor, like I said, put me in a sugar crash. You know, your brain functions different depending on how high your blood sugar is. I don't know if they had any idea what could have happened to me on my way home, but I hear about a lot of diabetics dying at the wheel or killing a bunch of kids or people at a bus stop or people in a store because they pass out and their car goes careening into a deli or into a bus stop or into a crowd of people. You know? And this was a doctor that deals with diabetes. And then they sent me to a nutritionist. And the nutritionist's answer was, stay on the medication, keep your carbs below 30. Okay. Except that I'm addicted to these things. So I stayed on that lifestyle. I followed that dietitian for 2 years. And I got in great shape. But I always had cravings. And I had hundreds of fights with my wife at the time. Because I needed all that junk to be out of the house. And she didn't. She wanted the kids to have options. And look, that's not to demonize my ex-wife. She was just doing what she thought was right. You know what I mean? I don't hate her for it. But it made my journey 1,000 times harder. And what I recognized about myself then is I could walk past something 5 times. You know, if there's a cupcake on the table that nobody has claimed, I could walk past it 4 times, excuse me. The 5th time I'm having a cupcake. That's the bottom line. You know, I could walk past, you know, leftover birthday cake 5 times. If it's in the fridge and I open the fridge 4 times. The 5th time, guess what? I'm powering through that birthday cake like it's the last piece of food on the planet. And I would probably eat the whole thing. Doesn't matter how big it is. And my ex-wife, who never really went down the diet path or the trying to get healthy or, thank God, deal with any health issues, couldn't grasp the fight I was in and what that meant as far as cravings and being terrified of what was in the refrigerator. You know, isn't that wild? I was terrified of what was in the refrigerator. So I did that workout routine, and you know, I was at the gym 6 or 7 days a week. I was doing Insanity in the evening and gym in the morning. I held a work schedule once I got back to work, and then I started a new job. Got up in the morning to go to my first day, and I got, you know, keep in mind I was doing calorie restriction, which I don't recommend in any way, shape, or form. I was doing calorie restriction. I was drinking green tea, which is a diuretic, but the problem with that is I enjoyed green tea. So I would have 2 or 3 a day. It was it was black green tea, and it was all, you know, I was always under the impression that my family just genetically carried extra water, and I wanted to get as not 0% body fat, just as lean as possible while still being healthy. What I ended up doing is dehydrate myself. Well, between that and the fact that I was probably taking in as much calories as I was burning in my workout routine, it was a recipe for disaster. So I find myself I go into the bathroom before I have to go to work to go to urinate, and the room starts spinning and spinning and spinning, and I'm throwing water in my face, and I'm, you know, I got a wet towel around my neck, and I'm sitting down, I got my head down between my knees so I don't, maybe I was just lightheaded, or all the things that I knew. Never once thought, get a glass of water, eat some salt. I fought it the way I was understood to fight it, and ultimately I passed out. So that killed my workout. I blew out my knee, I broke a toe, I got a massive concussion, and that stunted me for a while. And because I never kicked the carb addiction, very slowly and I wouldn't even say slowly, very quickly, I skyrocketed right back up to 270 pounds. Now, I guess you could say it took me 2 years to lose 5 pounds, because I did start at 275, but my health was shit. I was back to my same old routine, and with the exception of losing 20 pounds here, 30 pounds there, I pretty much stayed in that range, 250 to 275 for 10 years. Now, I got another health issue I want to talk about. I'm 45 minutes in at this point. This is a long video. They don't really do well, and it's not about that for me, but if people aren't going to click on it, then what's the point of making it? I want people to hear the story, but I'm going to make another video almost immediately about the other health issues and my experience in the hospitals. They're drastic. I feel like they're interesting, and they're a little well, you'll see. So keep watching, keep clicking. I'm not making this video for any type of financial gains. If it works out to be a great thing and takes off, that's fantastic, but I really just want to tell people my story. Gives me a place to kind of unload what's going on, and talk about the good things in the diet. And if I ever come across anything bad about this diet, I will absolutely put it on here. But I can't, with the exception of my friends are less likely to invite me out to dinner, which I'm slowly explaining to them. You can take me to any restaurant you want. I will hang out with you. I will enjoy the time. I will chat with you. Just because you're eating what you're eating, I don't have to eat that stuff. I don't have to touch it. I don't want to touch it. It's not a test of willpower, and you don't have to feel guilty that I'm not eating. Just enjoy your meal, enjoy my company. So that's the story. My best friend is starting to come around, and when he does invite me over, he always offers to cook something that I can have. And I went there last night. They had burgers, which I could have had a burger, but I didn't know how he's preparing it, if he was using seed oils, if he was using different seasonings, and I didn't want to go through the whole process of telling him how to cook a meal that he was excited about preparing. And he ended up making beautiful gourmet burgers with cheese in them, and made with a couple different types of meat, and there might have been some sausage in it. I'm not 100% sure, but everybody thoroughly enjoyed them, and he put a dry rub on them. They were delicious for everybody. I brought myself a little chuck steak. Not a little, I bought 2 1-pound chuck steaks, and I ate about 1.5 pounds of chuck steak. I enjoyed my meal thoroughly. I got to sit and enjoy everybody's company. We all had a great time, and now they understand that just because you're having something, it doesn't mean I have to, and I'm okay with that. It's the best thing I've ever done. So, all right, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry it went long. I'm at about 48 minutes at this point. Please stay healthy, make good choices, do your research. And if you find the time, like, share, and subscribe. I'd love to hear your comments on what I had going on, what I talked about in the video. I'd rather not deal with trollers, but if you want to troll and say some wild stuff in the comments, listen, more power to you. I'll read them like I read all the other ones. If it's something that's worth replying to, I might even reply. If you're vegetarian, or if you live a different lifestyle than I live, and you have some stuff to talk about or something you want to discuss, or if you have any questions, maybe on your particular path you're not feeling as good as you feel like you could, because I feel superhuman. I'm 48 years old, and I can do anything that an 18-year-old can do now. Maybe I'm not really exercising, so I'm not at my full potential, but I go for my little walks. I'm going to start working out. It's becoming more and more a voice in the back of my head telling me I need to get to the gym. So that's going to be my next obstacle, working out the financial part of that and the time, because I work a wild schedule. So listen, stay healthy. Don't accept old knowledge for truth, and do what you know is right. All right, thank you for checking in with Lions Diet. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. Have a great day. Like, share, and subscribe. It would really be great to get this message out further. Share this video, even if you don't want to like and subscribe. If you know somebody who's not feeling great, turn them onto my video. There's some good information here. All right, guys. Thanks again. Bye.